Welcome everyone to the first keynote lecture during this spring 2024 term. And I'm pleased and honored to have here tonight an esteemed colleague and close friend to Kent State, because he had already been here last semester for training us as faculty. I'm talking about artificial intelligence, Dr. Matteo Borri. Now, Matteo works in one of the most important institutes we have in this country. You know that the university system in Italy is public, so it's a public, all of them are public institutions. And then we have this very important institute, which goes by the name of Indire, which is the acronym of Institute for Innovation, Research, and the application of research to didactic purposes, which is made by many synergies. One of these synergies is Matteo Borri and his colleagues. Who is he? By trade, he's a philosopher, and philosophers always surprise us, I would say, because they have the ability of being inclusive and of course going outside of their territory as well. And he works on a very important topic, I think, which is artificial intelligence. Tonight he will give a lecture on artificial intelligence and its implications. Thank you, Matteo, for being here tonight.
Thank you, and thank you for this second invitation. So I will prepare the timer, so I will respect 45 minutes. But please feel free to interrupt me and ask whatever you want or you need to be more explained or clarified. Does it work? It's okay? Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, just a second. Here we go. So, artificial intelligence. How many of you already use some kind of artificial intelligence? ChatGPT, I guess, or other forms of or models of typology, and then we will see the difference between these classification. Just ChatGPT or something else? ChatGPT. Something else? Like what, for example?
There is this an art website that you type in something you want to see it.
Okay. Perfect. So Internet AI. Something like Internet AI and its use on the web. Okay. So what is artificial intelligence? This is just a complex issue, because if we check to the Oxford definition of AI, we found that it is the capacity of computers or other machines, robots, drones, and something like these, to exhibit or simulate intelligent behavior, the field of study concerned with it. So, the application and the replication of intelligence, on the other hand, all the stuff that brings to replicate and use this sort of intelligence. But what do we use as term when we talk about intelligence? That's just a complicated issue. But in order to understand if today, nowadays, this definition is still exhaustive, extensive, correct, I've asked it to ChatGPT 4, 128K, the last one. So, and here is the reply. This part is just explaining the content of the definition. And then, however, it might not be considered exhaustive for a number of reasons. And here are the reasons concerning ChatGPT 4 thought. It doesn't account for different types of AI. It doesn't mention the learning aspect of AI. It doesn't touch on the ethical issues and the ethical concerns that AI brings within the programmation and itself, the definition, and it skips over the role of human interaction and user experience in AI. So this is the idea that ChatGPT has about itself, about his own definition compared to the Oxford definition of AI. So it's quite a complicated level, quite a complicated model or typology, and then we will see the differences. You see there are waves. It's not just an animation, thanks to Keynote. So while the Oxford ChatGPT continues, definition is a good starting point. A more exhaustive definition of AI would also cover these additional aspects. So the first step dealing with AI is to understand and to choose, let's say, how and in which field to use it, and it depends on the definition we are looking for. Is it clear? It's quite complicated. I have no idea if it's complicated or not. Maybe I'm giving too much implicit concept. Please let me know if it is the case, okay? So, we have waves, we have this beautiful animation, thanks to Keynote, but wave is actually the most used metaphor to explain AI as a reality, as an industrial revolution, as a form of technology, and so on. So we can historically define 3 waves of evolution in AI. The first wave, the second wave, the third wave. What is changed? What has changed since 1956 until now? The approach, the use, and the technology we have and we refer to as AI. At the beginning, it was an idea. Maybe sometimes in the future, the computer will be able to replicate what we are able to do now, and then we will call them artificial intelligence. Then we started exploring, testing, projecting, creating softwares that can use something, act like our intelligence. For example, winning chess. Playing chess and winning chess against a human brain. Then we started trying to replicate human brain's behavior, but this is related to the history of neurology and neurosciences. The more you know about your brain, the more you can try to translate neural functions into programs. The less you know, the more you are limited in creating programs that are trying to replicate what our brains actually do. So it's quite complicated. We have 3 interfaces related to failure of AI languages. The first, AI will never get past game problems. And the third one, cognitive systems related to neurosciences. We have to understand better how our brains work in order to program artificial intelligence. Then we had a technology gap, thanks to Google, IBM's, and Google DeepMind and AlphaGo. Do you know what AlphaGo is? Is the first software that started playing Go, which is something like chess in the Chinese version, more complicated, against itself. And playing against itself determined that AlphaGo understood, learned to play, and became, and actually it is, the world champion of Go. So we have passed the era in which humans and computers played chess or something like this in order to see in how many times or how many steps can a computer win against a human brain or vice versa. Okay? So it's a process. AI, it's a step along a long process that started in understanding how our brains and our intelligence work and trying to replicate or doing something else. Now we are in the phase of the something else, abandoning the idea of our brains as a model to replicate. Okay? I hope it's quite clear. It's okay? Okay. So, nowadays, the emergence of AI is evolving in 4 different ways. The first one was that of your colleague, the internet AI. Internet AI, we all know that each browser have an AI integration. You are able to use AI also for free, and it's okay, it works. But we have also business AI. Business AI is actually a trending topic today. Thanks to advanced AI technology applied to business, business is far easier to run than before. You don't need any complicated theory to understand in business in order to use AI for AI business. How AI is making business easy to run? Automation, personalization, supply chain management, and improved customer services. But even more, cost reduction, fraud detection, marketing, and talent acquisition. Okay? Do you ever encounter it in your studies? Yeah.
I studied digital media production, and it's becoming very popular for multiple different types of software to use AI integration with video.
Sorry. Say it again.
I studied digital media production, and AI is very up and coming in our field. It's very commonly used for routine tasks with video editing as well as script writing, finding grammar mistakes, or suggesting alternatives to continuing a script.
Okay, so you are using generative AI.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, GPT models, okay. Okay, so let's see deeper what automation, for example, means. It is about the automation of routine tasks, you said, across various departments from high resolution to customer services. This not only reduces manpower costs, but also increases efficiency and accuracy. So one of the problem now is AI actually trying to replace my job? And that's a question. There is no sure answer, but maybe we could answer that it depends what sort of AI we are talking about, and it depends its application in which field, and then we will see how many fields and how many AIs are actually working while we are here speaking and listening to me. Oh, I will give you the PDF after if you want, so I will leave the contents. So you don't need to read and take note of everything now. Okay. Perception AI is the third wave. It's a wave. It has its heights, lows, it goes, it comes, it depends in its application. Perception AI is the wave of realization related to how well humans can digitize their physical life. We have alarms on our phones, on our smartphones. We have smartphones. We have Internet of Things, for example. Someone has Internet of Things, Internet of Things in order to reduce or augment the lights in the house, heal or not our home, and something like this. So all the stuff that we manage as humans every day could be handled by an artificial intelligence. That has to be tuned for it. So you have the possibility and the application, but you have to tune it precisely for yourself, for your style of life, for your kind of life. So one of the games actually played in programming AI is that of how to let an algorithm perceive correctly who we are, what we need, when we need it, and so on. It's okay? So it's quite complicated. It looks like something very conceptual on one hand, but on the other hand, at the programming level, it's just a set of rules. You just have to choose what rules have to be followed. And then autonomous AI, and here we are dealing with generative AI, ChatGPT, and all these kind of AIs. It is the wave, the most impressive, important, economic valuable now wave of AI, and it is a way of creating autonomous intelligent machines like robots, for example, self-driving car, even though now they are stopping for the moment the implementation and the realization of AI cars. Okay, you know that. Okay. In your study or just as? Okay, okay. Smartphones, drones, and so on. So, autonomous AI is the leading application, is one of the leading application of AIs, actually, and it has the most complex problems, paradoxes, and limitations related to realization, programming languages, but also to ethical concerns. Let's think about AI Act, for example. Do you know what AI Act is? There is no rules. There are no universal rules, shared universal rules about using AI, creating AI, producing AI, and handling ethical concerns related to AI. Europe is the first set of states that created a set of rules called AI Act that actually regulate, since the end of December, regulate how to produce, use, implement, and all the ethical stuff related to AIs. Not only generative AIs, but all kinds of AIs. Okay? China doesn't have, US doesn't have for the moment. They have self-regulatory models, but no legislation. Okay? Just Europe created an AI Act for the moment. So the game is just to wait to see if everyone is going to follow AI Act or to produce their own rules in the states. There are states like North Korea, for example, that are blocked the use and the programming of AI, except for something related to the military ministry. Okay, so it depends. In each country you find different rules about using, producing, creating AI. Also related to privacy, for example, and personal data. Maybe you are using some photo softwares with AI. You ask something to correct or to be corrected by AI, and AI asks, can I use your data in order to implement my database and correct my way of programming myself? You are acknowledging the use of personal data. Your images, your photos, your way of using, creating, producing, manipulating your images, and so on, or texts, for example. AI Act tries also to regulate the privacy settings in using AI. Okay? So we have several kinds of AI: deep learning, neural network, robotics, autonomous AI, GPTs, for example, cybernetics, machine learning, algorithm. The production of an algorithm for an AI is actually an output of another AI. Okay? We are not creating totally an algorithm in order to use it or to be applied in an AI. AIs produce algorithms for themselves. Or maybe an autonomous AI produce algorithm for machine learning or artificial intelligence or deep learning or robotics. It depends. You just have to give the input and follow the process. Or respect the rules if you are in Europe now, in programming and creating AIs. I already said that, but now we are at the 5th industrial revolution, basing on the impact. Does anyone of you knows how many billions of dollars invested Microsoft the last year in AI research? Billions of dollars. 589, sorry. Yeah, only in 2023. And actually, with Google, they are creating their own energy supply to create energy, electricity, only for AI. When you generate an image or editing, or when you are editing an image using an AI, you consume the same electricity of a flat for a week, of a 5 floors flat for a week. So if you imagine a children or a teenager playing with AIs on the phone, producing 100, maybe more images in this way and in another way and in a context and create another context and so on, you are consuming a lot of energy. So it's a quite problematic environmental topic to handle playing with AI. So it's the 5th industrial revolution. It brings within itself more advantages than the other industrial revolution, but it has a lot of problems, concrete problems related with it, with the use of it, and also with the ethical, privacy-related, and so on problems. So it's quite a complicated animal. It's something like strange. Someone defined it a new Leviathan. Okay. It's a monster. It's a fascinating monster. It works good, but it has an enormous need for energy, programming. It violates privacy and ethical stances in several cases. It's something quite complicated to handle. That's why we are just trying to define it. But if we are looking Google Trends search interest over time, AI is on top. That's fascinating. You see? Just 2 months. It's something that is exploding now. It's not just a trending topic. It's not just a trending technology or trending something. It's a reality. It's a reality we have to deal with. And it's a complicated one. How many typologies of AI when we are talking about AI? Here we have GPT's users and internet AI users, for example. 2 sort of typologies, 3, including also business AI, if you want. So it's quite complicated. There are more typologies than we can imagine. And I'll try to show you why. So we have reactive machines, the most basic machines. You create database and a set of commands in order to search for, extract, and dialogue with data. Okay? Limited memory AI, they learn from experience. They can observe past action and use this information to influence future decisions. That means you can use a database, a set of data, and ask to interpret it and to try some conclusion related to, and then what's next? And it works. Not so good, but it works. Theory of mind, we have seen that in the 3 waves we started trying to replicate, understand, and in parallel, replicate how brain works. So the theory of mind tried to explain, to use metaphors and analogies from the neuroscientific world in order to apply it to AIs, in order to explain AIs. They are trying to explain how an AI produces what it produces. For example, a correct sentence when I ask something, and a correct answer, trying to link this sort of self-awareness, let's say, and how the brain, how our brain works. So theory of mind is something like, we theorists of mind, we behaviorists, psychologists, neuroscientists, even neurobiologists, in order to create nets or deep learning machines, are using metaphors based on the reality of the biology of the brain in order to apply and replicate them in programming AIs. So it's quite theoretical observation applied to something that could work in a certain way. Self-aware AI. Self-perception was the 3rd wave in the evolution of AI research, is actually the generative AI. Each AI that can learn from itself is a self-aware AI. You need to know how you are working, how you are processing something in order to tune it, find the better path in order to give an output, the most correct, useful, and perfect output, and you have to do it by yourself. That's the game that AIs are playing now. You have to be better than yourself, playing with yourself, challenging yourself. Everything is good, fine? Questions, doubts, need for something else? It's okay? We are in time. Does any one of you have ever heard talking about narrow AI or strong AI? Have you ever seen the AI film with Will Smith and the robot? And so, in general, strong AI is when an AI is autonomous, not only in order to give a certain output, but also environmentally and electrically speaking. That means you don't need any human interventions. That's why, actually, we are talking about narrow AI that are not strong AI. Each AI needs a human intervention. Programmers, tuners, all the people that are pumping data into AI's databases, and so on. And then we have general or strong AI. Here we are. General or strong AI, I'm going to read these, are AI systems with generalized human cognitive abilities such that when presented with an unfamiliar task, you have to do something new, and you have to already have been programmed or have your own rules in order to solve this problem. I cannot help you. It's up to you, AI. They have enough intelligence, whatever it may mean, to find a solution. They can understand, learn, adapt, and implement knowledge from different domains. Strong AI is a theoretical concept and doesn't actually exist. Pay attention to this. That's where we are trying to go. It's not the point we are trying to reach, actually. We are trying to go in this direction, to follow this path. That means to create something that is able to understand that in order to give you the microphone, I have to use a robotic arm or something like this, and to pick the mic and give the mic to you, without any instruction created by humans. So you have to represent in a program language something that can render AI able to understand how to solve a given problem. If you use a calculator, it has the rules, its own rules, and you ask square root of 8, 2 is the answer, and it's that. You don't have to handle complex problems, complex cognitive problems as we actually do. But strong AI will be programmed for this. So that's the horizon we are trying to reach, they are trying to reach, and on which we are discussing now. And then after that, we have super intelligent AI, the last step. Super intelligent AI refers to the time when the capability of computers will surpass humans. And it's quite complicated to define what to surpass human means. Because if I consider, for example, to reply to 150 tickets in an help desk each day, which actually is the average of a human service as an help desk customer service person, of course AI will reply to 1,000 tickets every day. So it has already surpassed human activity. So at what level we define here it is the human activity that has to be surpassed in order to let us talk about super intelligent AI? It depends on which form of AI we are using. Is it clear? It's okay? Everything depends on something. We had typologies of AI, but we also have models of AI that are actually something different. We have machine learning is a model. Deep learning, I'll leave you read the definitions. Natural language processing, NLPs, which is quite the same thing as interface as ChatGPT, but without typing anything on a device. You just talk to an artificial intelligence, and it's capable to understand you, to translate your language into another, and then reply you or give you the answer to what you asked for example. Robotic process automation. Computer vision. That's quite interesting because now there is a new game or with Apple Vision, Oculus, Google Glass, and something like this in order to see where we are going to, what we are going to reach by using these new devices. Reinforcement learning. This is a type of machine learning. So it's ML. It's the first, but in another way of use, where an agent learns to behave in an environment. In which way? By performing actions and seeing the results. It's a sort of autonomous AI which tries to be self-aware of how it is working related to a specific environment or in a specific context. It's used in various kinds of AI applications, such as gameplays and robotics, for example. You have to walk, you are a robot, you have to walk, and you have to read and understand the soul, if it's planned or if you have obstacles, and try to find a solution in real time to the object, the obstacles, and what you find, for example. And you're not waiting for someone, okay, raise your hand, raise your leg. It has to be automatic. So it has to learn something and to bring inside it, not with him, these rules, and to be able to correct in real time these rules each time you need to perform something different in your context. That's what we do naturally. I'm feeling cold and I'm closing the door. It's okay, for example. The computer or the robot or the drone has to perceive the degrees, decide that it's better to close the door because maybe the functioning will not working well with another temperature or something like this, and try to find the solutions to inputs that arrive from the external world. In a more philosophical way, if you want. And then we have GANs. Does any one of you already heard GANs or knows what it is? Actually, it's at the base of GPTs. GANs, generative adversarial networks. If you remember, we said you have to learn from your own mistake and you have to talk to yourself in order to understand or to create something. These are algorithmic architectures that use two neural networks at the same time for one aim, pitting one against the other. Like playing AlphaGo. You play against yourself. You think about a solution against yourself that thinks another solution. And then you have this conflict, this contrast, this interface in which you share the both proposed solutions by the two parts, and you're able to find the correct way to solve the problems or to apply your idea or your reply to something we asked. It seems quite complicated, but now we'll see it more deeply. We'll dive, we leave the waves and we dive inside the sea of the definitions and models and typologies of AI, transfer learning, and predictive analysis or regression models. That was, we have already seen, to be able to understand, to read a given set of data, and to understand and predict something related to this data set that not necessarily have already been, that have not been existed, okay? It's not given. Maybe it could be another option that you can consider or you can interpret starting from a data set. Actually, these are inferences. GPTs and generative models are able to create inferences, starting and moving from a given set of data. Is it okay? It's too much complicated, too much articulated? Well, so keep going. Food for thought for you. Just some hints, suggestions, applications, AI and its applications. AI can be categorized based on different characteristics, such as functionality, capabilities, and sophistication. The models used will depend on the problem that needs to be solved and the type of and amount of data available. We started saying that a type of AI depends on what we need to being able to resolve something, okay? If I need a drone, I will need and I will use a certain type of AI. If I need to understand or correct a text in the editing or something like this, I will need a generative AI, which is another way of using AI's algorithm and applying it to an AI type, okay? Type, models, typologies, models. An AI typology is about categorizing AI systems based on their capabilities and functionalities. Okay? A model, on the other hand, refers to the specific algorithm or computational structure that an AI uses. So if we are talking about typologies of AI, we can say that Siri, Alexa, Cortana, Hey Google are different typologies of AI that use the same algorithm. So are different typologies that use the same AI model. Is it clear? The typology is what you do, and the model is how you do. Or maybe vice versa. AI models are about the how an AI system processes data and learns from it, while AI typology, we already said, is about the what an AI system can do, or at which level, at what level. We have the word, we have some needs, we have technology, a form of technology, not typology of model, a form of technology that we call AI, that is able to help us autonomously to solve our problems. The given problem you have, the different typology or models of AI you will be using, okay? So there is a link between reality, problems, and using more different models of AI. The representation of reality in AI can be quite complex and can be divided into multiple layers depending on the level of abstraction and complexity to consider. So the gap between reality and the solution that an AI can give, it's a matter of abstraction and complexity. If we want something useful, fast, and simple, we will use drones, robots, and some forms of GPTs, of generative models. If we want something more complex, because maybe I want to test a new drug and I want to avoid the side effects on humans, so I want an AI that is capable to tell me if this complex of molecules can create side effects on humans without testing on them. It's more complicated. You have to be a physician to understand of chemistry and so on. So it's quite complicated. You cannot download an app on the phone and then, okay, here is the molecule, let me say if I can assume it or not. It's something different. So you need autonomous AI and strong AI, for example, that require a different way of interacting. You cannot ask something in natural language to a strong AI. It's something different. It's a quite complicated language that is not only programming language. It's also a way of posing questions in a certain way and something like this. So you have to ask the correct answer in order to have a correct, the correct question in order to have a correct answer. Also in ChatGPT, okay, if you fail to ask something in an understandable way for the AI, you will get an ambiguous reply or answer. The more complex you go through programming, language processing, and autonomous AI, the more precise you have to be when you ask something and the analysis of something, okay? That means that you have to know how AIs work before trying to ask them something, okay? Because if not, it's total chaos and misinterpretation of, or worse. Is it clear? The need of understanding to who are you talking about? Because actually it's called chat GPT. You chat with an AI, okay? You use natural language to discuss something or ask something to an AI. So you have to pose correct questions. The more complex the model of the typology of AI is, the less you use natural language and you start using different and more complicated ways of interacting with these complex technologies. Okay? So, 44 minutes, I'm going to try to give a conclusion, and then if you want to interact in 3 or 4 minutes, it's okay? ANI, AGI, ASI. Does any one of you has an idea of these acronyms? No, okay, it's normal. There are actually 3 types of artificial intelligence. The first one is the most simple way. You ask something, just one process, just one reply, each time. Of course, you can ask Siri the correct hour, what day is about Matteo and something like this, but one each time. One task each time. Machine intelligence refers to a computer that is as smart as a human across the board. ChatGPT, for example. Actually, ChatGPT. And then we have superintelligence, artificial superintelligence, ASI. That's the autonomous AI that actually doesn't exist. An intellect that is much smarter than the best human brains in practically every field. So that's the goal they are trying to reach. But for the moment, it's not applicable. It's not real. What is a generative AI? Generative AI, GPT, but not only GPT. If you are going to change, alterate, replicate, play with an image, you are using generative AI models. That means the same algorithm, okay? That took some tokens, interpret it, give a different weight to each token, and then gives you an output that can be, tell me what are the 10 most standing points that have changed the world during the last century, or could you reproduce a lake with a pine tree at dawn? Okay. It's the same algorithm, the same models, but different typologies. Image, text. So, a generative AI, in general, refers to a class of artificial intelligence systems, images, texts, that have the ability to generate new content. So we use forms of artificial intelligence in order to get new objects, new content, new images, new texts. These systems, generative AIs, are designed to understand, and these systems understand. It's quite complicated to say or to affirm now if an AI has something like our consciousness. Are they aware of what they are doing or not? Certainly not. But their way of acting is quite the same that we can affirm when we discuss, describe, and observe a human acting like. Okay, if I ask something to you or an AI, maybe I get the same answer, and maybe I can do this inference. Given a problem and having had the answer, maybe the process that gave the correct answer in this way is human, even though an AI gave me the same answer. So it seems like it has a consciousness, even though at the hardware level it doesn't. Generative AI relies on models that can generate outputs that weren't explicitly programmed into them. So it gives you more new content and more than the sum of the parts that you're handling. I will give you a very, very basic, and sorry for that, but very basic example. You can use AI to take a picture of your fridge, and based on the objects that you have inside, it can propose you a receipt that maybe you just don't have neither the idea that this could be possible with those ingredients. So they are producing new content that is not actually related to every object they are handling or interpreting, but it's a mixture, it's something new. It's quite like arts combinatoria. So, and this is astonishing from a certain point of view, no? Okay, they are not intelligent, they are not humans, they are just technologies, they are not conscious of what they're doing, no self-awareness, no way, but they are acting, in certain cases, more, they are performing better than us. Without knowing what they are doing. So it's only related to the algorithm, all this stuff. Yes, in GPTs especially, but in AI in general, it's only related to algorithms. Algorithms in artificial intelligence can act as human, can determine a technology, a given technology, a drone, an interface with who you can chat. And it has some steps. The training, you have to give data, teach how to interpret and read this data, categorize the data, given tokenization. Tokenization, you have words, you decompose the words, each 4 characters is a token, and then you have attention mechanism. So you give different weights to each token without knowing the meaning. That's not a semantic level. It's just algorithms decomposing words and assigning values and numbers to each token and trying to give a weight for all these tokens, and it works. It's a simplification, but it works this way. So you have then layering, decoding, and iteration. Iteration, you correct and correct and correct. And at the end, you have ChatGPT-4, starting from GPT-3, which actually is quite always correct in its answer. It's just a matter of correcting, tuning, correcting, tuning, correcting, tuning, related to a database who remembers all the corrections and all the paths abandoned and the paths followed because it worked better and so on. So this is the definition that we found in the literature. But if I ask to ChatGPT to define what is a GPT, here is GPT is defining itself again. GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, where transformer means that you have the first output. It's the challenge between two intelligence, artificial intelligence. You have the first output, the other discuss and try to contrast this idea. They try to share and interact until they find a way of understanding that it's okay for both. All these in a millisecond. And here we go with the correct answer or the correct image. It's something, it's a sort of struggle, not conscious, not aware, but struggle against two different interpretations of the same possible answer, and then you have a winner, the correct answer that actually is correct. They are autoaggressive. Autoaggressive in the context of machine learning aesthetic refers to a type of model that uses its own previous output as inputs and inputs. So it means that you have your own memory and you know that this way went wrong, this way was okay, so I use this model and this part of the algorithm when a question or a task is similar, and I already have a brick that works for these sort of problems to be solved. I use and I implement all these bricks in order to build a house that nobody lives, but where nobody lives, but that is autosufficient, autonomous, and works. You have this beautiful, it works. AI, actually, it works. And it works better and better by correcting itself. No human act and correct AI since GPT 3.5. It's all autonomous AI that discuss, implement, and correct itself in order to give correct answer to us. So, okay, the last one, food for thought. Again, generative AI raise ethical concerns. We already said that. You're saying yes, so you know, you have ideas about it, okay? Especially in areas where the generated content can be misused. Let's think about deep fakes, for example. That maybe seems like a naive practice in schools, but it's something more complicated and more profound. So we have four ethical levels of ethical dilemmas and ethical issues that AI raises and that have to be handled. Deepfake, fake news generator, because you can use an AI in order to create a fake news, and it's simple, but it's more difficult to create and use an AI in order to find what a deepfake is or where in a publication a deepfake or a fake news is. It's quite complicated. It's related to the real world application of AI. I use natural language, I ask something, I get an answer. This answer is correct. But maybe it's a fake news. But maybe I'm not able to understand that it is a fake news. It is so well structured, written, and so on, that even the AIs are not able, because they are not conscious, they are not intelligent, and so on, to understand if something, a sentence, a given sentence, or a period is real or a fake news. The more affordable is an AI, the more complicated is the possibility to understand if the product is a fake or not. So it's quite complicated. Ethically, it's a real problem. Then we have privacy concerns, trust and credibility. Again, you use a GPT model that creates also fake news, you're not able to understand if the reply is real or a fake, for example. Privacy. You are using an AI in order to have a better sky in your photo and correct the light of the face, of the skin, and so on, but you give all this data, your personal data, your image, and so on, to the GPT model in order to implement it, and because you are not going to pay, in this case, for example. So you are selling personal information in order to get a bluer sky, for example. It's quite simple, but when you start asking to correct an article, a thesis, or to control if the bills are correctly paid, you are also always giving all these data and to a public use without any consent, because you don't have the consent as for the cookies when you use a browser or something like this. So it's quite complicated. And you not have a legislation. You just have AI Act that actually, with all its constraints, are limiting, at least from a developer view, AI use. And you have also regulatory challenges. So AI is something interesting, useful. Different types of AI, even though they use the same models, can be used in order to achieve something different. You have to learn and interact in a proper and correct way. If not, they're not working correctly. The more advanced we get, the more advancement we get, the more complicated it becomes to understand if the product that AIs, generative AIs, if I use a drone to turn on the light and turn off the light, okay, there's light or not, it's okay. But in more complicated use, you are not able to filter the product, the output, and to be sure that it's not a fake. And also you have a lot of ethical questions that arise from this use, from the way you program, you interact with, and you buy, pay, or give your personal data to big data's users or multinationals that actually are the fathers of AI. It's not possible to create an AI by your own in your own garage. It requires too much electricity, too much processing, too much programmers, and we not have on our computers processors that are able to produce something related or similar to what by the cloud, via the cloud we reach on our phones or on our PCs, that the output of an AI. Stop. Okay, I'll stop here.
Do you have any question, guys? Do you have any question to address to the speaker? Matteo Borri, I have many, I have to say, many. If I may start, the first might be, I'm using ChatGPT, for some works I'm doing at the moment. And every time, I put a question on this, and probably this is determined by the quality of the question. But should you ask, what kind of politics, Henry Kissinger had in the 1970s? Why was he called the new Machiavelli, for instance? Or should you ask, I don't know, what was the theory that Plato had on Saint Augustine? And there, ChatGPT tells you, no, Plato lived before Saint Augustine, so this is wrong. And to this, everything is clear to me. And it's also clear to me how we can use face identity to make a withdrawal or a wire transfer or change the background of a photo. The problem, I think, is the following. Where is the emotion? So is the artificial intelligence able to write a great novel? Or is artificial intelligence able to create a script for a movie? Is artificial intelligence at this level, because I'm touching the surface, I think, with ChatGPT, because I think this is not real, artificial intelligence.
There's more than that, yeah.
Oh, so where is the relationship between what a human being can give to something, the creativity of the brain, and not the technical information you might receive from something, and artificial intelligence?
Multi-level reply. The simple one, yes, it is possible. They call it temperature, and it starts from 0 to 1, and the temperature is related to the feeling that something could perceive, an AI, or produce. You can ask to evaluate what's the feeling about Sylvia that Leopardi has about Sylvia in Sylvia, and an AI is capable to reply correctly, but you can also describe, could you please produce a script where the scene where he meets her at dawn with the sea and so on, if you describe the feelings that you want as inputs, he's able to give the correct weight to this and create and produce something. Nowadays we found, it was 2 weeks ago, a Japanese writer won the more prestigious Japanese prize for novel writing, and then she said, I use an AI in order to write it. Yeah, for the 3%. That means correctly.
We are writing in every syllable of our courses, academic honesty.
Yep.
So in other words, you can write down a paper if you want. You can write down a book through artificial.
Yeah, AI is capable to write an article.
Because I've tried to give him some precise questions, and the format is always the same. You can recognize that it's a machine.
Yes.
So it's not something that I can write or someone better than me can write.
Actually, there are different GPT-4 models. We in Italy can have access to several of them. In France, they use others that are not activated for us, for example, for the moment. You can use a VPN and something, but formally not. But there are AIs that are actually capable to write an essay or an article giving, you can ask, for example, could you please, can I give this hint, or it's better not? Okay. You can also do something like that. I believe that X, an idea that you have, could you please provide me references, scientific references that confirm this idea and write an abstract or a description? Or could you please expand and explain exhaustively the idea that you have in 2 pages, 3 pages? and it works. But you have to ask the correct question.
But the problem is that to ask the correct question, you need to be trained and informed. You need to have studied first.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the reality is that if an astrophysicist, which is a Nobel Prize, just have to put down an article regarding 2 or 3 themes that he have discovered, he just has to say to the AI what it has to be the input, the output. If a student starts, you don't have all this knowledge that you can use any ChatGPT as an assistant to reduce, resume, or just give to 2 or 3
But my question goes beyond this, and it goes straight to the idea of democracy. So, is ChatGPT able to create, because you know, if you need to be trained for having good feedback from the artificial intelligence, you don't create something for the many.
No, it works for who is just trained, is already trained. If you are already trained, it's better for you. If you don't have any idea about astrophysics, for example, it's a complete nightmare to use ChatGPT for this. It can say anything and you're not able to understand if it's correct or not. Just to give you an example, the next lecture will be given by a colleague of mine. We just created Plato's AI that used all the Plato's corpus. If you ask to ChatGPT online, what about Parmenides? And Plato says, it was a pre-Socratic philosopher and so on. Pre-Socratic is a term coined in the 19th century. So Plato could not use this term because it did not exist when he was talking and thinking and writing. So you have to tune your AI in order to avoid this. But if you are not trained about Plato, you can accept that Parmenides is pre-Socratic and it's okay, and that's all. So the more knowledge you have, the more useful ChatGPT is for you. If you don't have knowledge, it's quite complicated to use correctly ChatGPT. And if you're at school, for example, in Italy, and if you want to use ChatGPT, I'd say it in a bad way, but it's real. If you're poor, you will get GPT-3 or 3.5. If you're rich, you will get GPT-4. That's another way of using GPT. It's not democratic. It's absolutely not democratic at all. Even though it's accessible.
Any questions?
Can I ask you something from another point of view? You say it will be your assistant, because I think mostly of us, we try to ask something, and we are searching for some answers. But in the past, the humans, they used to ask to their peers, friends, colleagues, students, and so on. So what's happened in the mind of humans now that they interact and they do dialogues with machines, thinking to have a dialogue with them in some way, you know?
Yeah.
What I mean?
It depends on who is interacting with ChatGPT and using it as an assistant. That means, for example, a living philosopher who lives actually in Berlin, Byung-Chul Han, H-A-N is the surname, write against AIs. Moving from this point, if I feel sad about a loss, I'm experiencing something that is related to my experience, to my individuality, and to my 57 years since I've been living here. It's not possible to have an AI that could replicate the same feeling. And at the same time, AI is not capable to understand what I am explaining and describing. So if I want to interact, playing at this level, with an AI, I have to say, the emotion is that, an emotion is that. You have to set a grid of rules and then give them to the AI and ask for an input, for an output that you already have in your head. It's just a question of speed. Please represent sadness or the sadness of a 57 person that have suffered for a great loss, and it was the third loss of her life, of his life, something, and so on. You have to be clear and explain and explicit about everything. So, in this way, it's an assistant. You just have to understand what I want and give me what I want. I don't trust you in order to create something. Just work for me. But it works also for if you have to finish an article or to write an article. Or have you updated Microsoft Word or Microsoft Word Office to 2024? 2024? You have editor at the end. It's a huge button. You press editor and it corrects grammar, semantics, rules, content. But at the level that they say, you just used these concepts twice. The third time it's better to change and something. It's a grid of rules. And it's just applying a grid of rules. The more rules you gave to your personal AI, the more affordable your assistant is. So, it's faster than contacting a peer in order to ask if, have you ever read this book? What do you think about it? Do you think it's okay if I buy it and citing it or not? ChatGPT replies in a nanosecond. And the reply, maybe it's the same. Because you know what you want and what you need. So you can bypass human contact in this context. Not for going out for a dinner or for a cocktail, okay? But if you consider intellectual work as work, GPT works good. But the more trained you are, the more efficient your assistant is. And the way is that, to create personal assistants with your profiling. Actually, they are profiling you when you use a GPT and you ask for something. Also, Google acts in the same way. Maybe we are discussing about a pair of ski, because we like skiing, and then you start Google and you open Google, and the first object that he proposes or it proposes to you is a pair of ski, for example. ChatGPT works in the same way. You ask to explain the meaning of, for example, reminiscence in Plato, and then the theory of memory in Aristotle, and he is profiling you on this topic. The first step when you pay an API key, that is a 16 letter and numbers code in order to activate an unlimited use of a GPT software, you are giving the acceptance to, and please record in your memory all the questions I asked. Because you are creating your own database of your own personal interest in using ChatGPT. So at the end, you have an assistant that is quite perfect for you. It's related to your phone. He knows when you snore, when you sleep, when you're awake, when you go to do shopping and something. Everything is integrated. So it's really an assistant. It's not a discussion about, wow, how beautiful GPT is, but actually it works like this. And the meaning of chat is that you can ask about 10 subjects, 10 topics, and then you ask to explain the second one of the second reply, and it has memory. So it can reply to the second without asking, what are you talking about? Which is the context? In what context are you relating to? As a peer. The big problem is that of memory. You have data and data and data and data and data, and you cannot storage all data forever. So at a given moment, you have to erase something. What to erase and what not. Of your past, of your knowledge. Because actually you are giving a part of your responsibility in knowledge to GPTs, if you use it.
Bene. Thank you very much.
Thank you.